Instead of hitting everyone with the AK-47, you know that okay, this is the sniping and this is the really needed. And board also happy about that. What is the core reason why every company want to spend money on cybersecurity? The only reason is they don't want to get breached.
Correct.
Rest is all under the umbrella.
What is the cybersecurity challenge today that security leaders are facing as per you?
I think the biggest challenge in the industry, especially for the senior C-suites, CISOs and CIO, was that usually the audits which they used to do is basically they are quarterly. It can be 6 months or a year. The lack of real-time data visibility, security status visibility is lacking.
Hello and welcome to CIO News. I am Khushbu Soni. I'm the founder and Chief Editor at CIO News. I'm very excited to share screen today with Rahul Tyagi. Rahul, welcome.
Hi.
And thank you so much for taking out time and joining us today.
Thanks to you for inviting.
Great. So, quick introduction to Rahul. Rahul is a co-founder of Cybersecurity, a cyber risk quantification and management platform company. With a master's degree in computer applications, he founded Cybersecurity in 2012, incubated in IIT Bombay and backed by Cisco's former chairman and CEO, John Chambers. That's wonderful. And just to give a quick introduction to Cybersecurity protects the digital infrastructure of multiple Fortune 500 companies around the world with its cyber risk measurement and mitigation platform called SAFE. Rahul continues to highlight the importance of cyber risk and quantification in the ASEAN region and has been featured in Fortune magazine 40 Under 40 list and has also been awarded the Entrepreneur of the Year 2019 by the Entrepreneur magazine. Wonderful. I think that's a great achievement at this age. And like I said, I think we were discussing offline as well. It's inspiring. So I'm going to have this conversation. Would love to, hear from you on your journey and of course, Cybersecurity as well. To begin with, Rahul, my first question is probably if you can help us understand what exactly is cyber risk quantification, and especially for the audience who is new in this term.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for the introduction. And I think, like you, being a very young professional in the community, I think for every entrepreneur, the main thing is just do what you love, right?
Yeah.
And we are fortunate enough to have people around us who really love us and love what we do, and especially our customers. Now, coming back to your question, so what exactly we do and what is cyber risk quantification? So I think for many people, cyber risk is a very known term. Now, cyber risk is basically can be anywhere. It can be in your compliance. It can be to a vulnerability. So wherever is a risk with respect to a cyber term, we call it cyber risk. But the problem with the industry was is that CISOs and the CIOs, when you look at the cybersecurity of an organization at holistically, you are paying for your EDR, you are paying for your PIM-PAM solutions, you are paying for more than, I say, 50 cybersecurity solutions and IT solution, can be cloud or anything. After spending so much, how you will quantify that what I have done is enough, or is it not enough to spend more on that part? And after spending this much, what is the core reason why every company want to spend money on cybersecurity? The only reason is they don't want to get breached.
Correct.
Rest is all under the umbrella. So cyber risk quantification helps the senior leadership, especially the senior leadership can be the CISO, CIO and the board members, to really quantify and visualize in a numeric term which they can measure. For example, if I ask you what is the battery status of your phone right now, it's very easy to predict, like 10%, 20%, right? You can measure that. This is the same problem if I apply on cybersecurity, that right now in your organization, what is the probability of a breach? It's always a kind of a statement answer, gray answer. It is very difficult for the industry to calculate in numbers. This is the problem which we solved. So we say, instead of saying the English, why not you can quantify the cybersecurity with a number with some global standards so that it can be trusted. And cyber risk quantification is all about 2 to 3 things. One is looking at your entire infrastructure, converting that into a score, which is a number, which is quantifiable, and also converting that number into a financial dollar value risk. Because CISOs and the CIOs are technical people, their teams are technical. But when you present that score to a board, they always look at that thing into financial numbers. It can be rupees, it can be dollars.
Correct.
So we convert that breach likelihood into dollars, which is understood by the board members. And the entire conversation then changed rather than technically, okay, today our company is sitting on $100 million of risk.
Right.
Next quarter, we want to take it to 75.
Right.
What you guys will do?
Right.
They will say, we need one product, we need this and that. So the technical jargons has been removed and the communications only happen with this up to dollar, because this is the risk. Because today, if the breach will happen, this is the risk our company is sitting on.
Right.
So how you will able to present those numbers into a quantified manner, which is understood by the non-technical people, especially the senior board members. I'm not saying that they are not technical, but some people are not, right?
Yeah.
And it makes a very standard way of communicating within the organization.
Yeah.
Technical people will understand the score, and the senior members only will talk about the money. That okay, what risk our organization is sitting on, and that's what they are worried about.
Right. Wow, I think this is with all these years that I've interacted with CISOs, one of their major challenges has been that they usually not been able to convince the board to get funds to invest into cybersecurity. And that is one of the biggest challenge. They always, all the roundtable, closed room, boardroom discussions that I've had, CISOs always say that one of the major challenges, can I get a report which will talk about an ROI?
Yes.
ROI of this solution? Will it give statistics post a breach has been done, or any market understanding of how it's helping? Can it give some weekly reports, monthly reports, anything of that sort, right? So I think this is one of the major challenge when we talk about CISOs facing to receive funds from CFOs or the boardroom. Yeah. I think this solves a lot of issues. So great on that part. So my next question is, what is the cybersecurity challenge today that security leaders are facing as per you, and how does cyber risk kind of come into picture when we talk about the overall challenge?
Sure. So I think after talking to so many CIOs, you know the answers better than me, but there are challenges they are facing. But yeah, in our limited capacity of, so we serve more than 200 customers globally, the very big names, who are taking care of our services. But when it comes to the real challenges, I think the biggest challenge in the industry, especially for the senior C-suites, CISOs and CIO, was that usually the audits which they used to do is basically they are quarterly. Yeah. It can be 6 months, a year. Yeah. The lack of real-time data visibility, security status visibility is lacking. Yeah. And why it's lacking? Because let's take an example. You have an EDR, you have a phishing platform, you have a identity management platform, you have a VA, Qualys, or any other tool, right? If you see, these all security tools are basically works in silo modes. Yeah. They don't talk to each other. Yeah. So for me as a CISO, if I have to understand the 360-degree security of my organization, I have to go to my EDR team, get some relevant data. I have to go to another security team, get other data, my phishing team, get another data, and put almost 20-30 days with my team to correlate that data, and then come up with the right visibility. Yeah. This is the biggest challenge for most of the CISO, to take the informed decision on time. Yeah. Because the time wastage in terms of capturing the data, and when it leads to them, it always you are 2 months behind the visibility, because the landscape has already changed. Correct. So the real-time visibility is one biggest problem for the industry, that you need to have a aggregator who can aggregate with all security infrastructure, your cloud, your threat intel, and give you a real-time visibility. Yeah. And when I real-time visibility, at least 24 hours. Right. Rather than you're waiting for a big four to come and do audit for 3 months, 6 months, or a year, right? And the second problem which I have seen, like you already mentioned, is return on security investments. Yeah. When you go, and you rightly said, when you go to a CFO for a budget, they will give you the budget for this security tool. When next time you go for another security tool which is required budget, because it's not the fault of the CFO also, because he may or may not be a technical person. Correct. But he understands numbers, right? So how we saw this problem and how we solved the problem, maybe industry, other companies have a different way of looking at it, what we did is that we have a concept known as ROSI calculator, return on security investment calculator. So for example, if I'm a CISO, I want to procure an EDR. What in a platform the company can see that, okay, our company is sitting on $100 million of risk. EDR will cost us $100,000. But after EDR procurement, our $100 million risk will go to $32 million. Now it's a direct add-on of the reduction of the risk to $68 million.
Correct.
Now that $100,000 now, it has no value because it's nothing in terms of reducing $68 million.
Right.
So that's a real return on security investment visibility to the CFO. Now, if he says that, okay, it's fine, still you don't have it. But in the back of it, it's a $68 million risk he's taking on his head by not investing those $100,000. And that's with every security tool or every procurement you are having. When it's not there, because it's pure numbers, right? You cannot run from it. And it's all mathematical model. We are working with the MIT Boston. We are a sponsored partner of MITRE framework, Attack and Defend. And these are the companies who really help us in understand the risk and then globally standardize that model in a way which is understood by the CFO, CISOs, and they trust that number. Okay, if this is there, that's why it is there. So ROSI is the second problem statement. And the third problem statement is the communication to the board. After doing all the tamjam in Hindi, if I say, all you did everything, now you want to present your cybersecurity status to the board members. And there is a guy who's 80 plus years of age who wants to understand, brief me about the security status. How you going to tell? You cannot explain him the CV scores at 0 days and all. You have to talk the numbers.
Correct.
And then the entire board will be, because if a breach will happen, it's the numbers who will be hitting. It's the reputation will be hitting.
Correct.
And reputation also have a cost.
Correct.
Right? So that, if you show them, okay guys, this is the status we have. These are the things which are in my control. These are things I need to reduce this level of budget and I need this budget to reduce this level of risk. It's your call to give me the budget or not to give me the budget.
Correct.
And in the end, you cannot zero down to the risk. Risk cannot be zero. If I sit in the car today, the probability if I will come alive or not is always a question mark. Maximum I can do, I can have 6 airbags, I can have the tire and still I can come up with some scratches. So risk cannot be zero. There will be some scratches also, right? So in the similar manner, risk cannot be zero. Once you will finalize the risk, you know that this is what I can control. This is the budget I need. And rest which is left is known as residual risk, which you cannot manage. For that risk, either you transfer that risk to cyber insurance or either you procure more cyber security tools to reduce that risk further. And you reach to a certain place where board and the CFO and the management says, yeah, this is a good risk to have. And we also want that we compare that risk with your peers. Like if I'm a hospital industry, what is my other peers in the similar industry are taking, what risk they are taking. So now you know the comparison, whether you are taking the more risk than the industry or the less risk than the industry. So if you see these 4 problem statements, usually cybersecurity tools solve the problem for the operational levels. But these senior management people are always into a gray zone that what's going on at the ground level. So these are the 4 or 5 problems which CISOs, CIOs and the CFO and the board members are looking for. And it's not only us, there are so many companies who are taking care of these things in their own manner.
Right. On that note, you mentioned that you help organizations quantify and assess. So do you also kind of tie up with OEMs who provide EDR solutions and, kind of bundle it up with their solution and offer?
So what we do basically, we integrate with all the clouds, like we have integrations with AWS, GCP, Azure. We integrate with your EDR. It can be CrowdStrike, it can be SentinelOne, then your Qualys and all. So all the popular cybersecurity tools, all the clouds and all the threat intels. We have our read-only API access to that. We fetch the data from these all cybersecurity tools. Instead of showing you a siloed mode, we show you into a single dashboard. Now you will be saying, when CrowdStrike showing you something, how are you smarter than that? How you can say that what CrowdStrike show you is better than what they are better like company, right? So what we do is we have some data claims, which so whenever the companies got hacked, they do the cyber insurance. and they claim the data. So in public domain, there are so many researchers which are there where do we know that the companies got hacked from this domain, and these are the reasons they got hacked. So when a CrowdStrike will fetch some controls and it show in our dashboard, our AI and ML powered algorithm will first look that if this vulnerability which CrowdStrike has highlighted has been ever exploited in last 5 to 6,000 hacks
That's
which are happened.
Known threats.
Known threat, yes.
Right.
One is known threat. Second also, is this hack which is ever being claimed by any cyber insurance, which the public data we have.
Right.
Because when you claim the data, you have to tell them how you got hacked.
Yeah.
So even the severity of that vulnerability is 6.5, but it will be highlighted by our algorithm first because you should learn from the past also.
Correct.
And criminals and threat actors, they never change the way how they pivot in the organization.
Correct.
They keep on exploiting the same thing.
Correct.
So instead of a vulnerability which is 9.5, which is being never exploited, we'll highlight the previous vulnerability first because it is being highlighted and exploited a lot. So that's one. Now imagine data coming from CrowdStrike, filtered in a nice way, which is controlling a breach. We are not a GRC platform. We are not an ISO platform who takes your compliance. Compliance is already been taken care by organization. We are proactive in nature when predicting the breach and telling you guys, please fix this. Otherwise, you will cause a breach. And if you cause a breach, this is the amount you have to pay from your pocket as an hit. We call it cyber risk impact on you. So one coming from CrowdStrike, your cloud, and also in one dashboard, your entire infrastructure coming up there. And then you have a single dash visibility. CISO wakes up in the morning, he just see, okay, what are my top 5 risks today? Tell their team to fix, and in the next day, they can see what happened to that.
Yeah.
And in daily wage, you will see dollars will coming up and down.
Right.
Instead of waiting for 3 months and all. And if a board member have an access to the platform, they can also see that what's going on and all.
Correct.
That makes life easier.
Got it. Fantastic. And according to you, what is the best approach for managing all these cyber risks, from a CISO's and a CIO's point of view?
So I think if I talk about India especially, in India, we are way ahead in terms of, let's talk about the banking sector. India is way ahead in security banking sector as compared to entire US and Europe. And we should be proud of that. And the main reason for that is that we are very, very reactive in nature, very powerful in reactive in nature. For example, if a breach will happen, we have our standards and ongoing on. And we are very compliance heavy country. Especially in the fintech world and other thing. And now the DPD law is coming and all, we will be more grilled on that part. So I think in the industry, if I say we are very good in reactive in nature, but the only lacking part in the industry is being proactive. Why? Because when an incident will happen, you have your incident plan ready, you know what to do, blah, 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 blah. But why you are waiting for that incident to happen? Like for example, SOC. SOC only will tell you, the security operations center, they will only tell you the events which are already occurred in the organization, and on the basis of that they define then what you need to do next. Our proposal is that you should have the similar weightage on the right hand side, which is the reactive, in the proactiveness, where you have the real-time visibility, where you know the investment which you are doing, and you know from where the attacks can come. So for example, what are the top 3 scenarios which every company is worried about today? Data exfiltration, we have seen recently in the hotel industry, and the Apollo got hacked and all, whatever. So one is that. Second is in 1 year is real-time visibility. Second is your investment. So data exfiltration becomes the one problem. Ransomware becomes the second problem. So how the industry can actually look at the risk by dividing the overall risk into these scenarios. Actually, these are the 3 scenarios which makes today. If the Taj got hacked, then the hotel industry will say, what is the probability of our getting this data exfiltration rate? What is the probability of that? So what we realized a very early age that companies are not worried about overall risk. Sometimes they are more worried about a particular scenario. When their peer got hacked, they want to know immediately, are we vulnerable to that? So then you can have like I mentioned, that there will be a score of a overall organization breach likely score. We also give the customer a particular ransomware score. That what is the probability of a ransomware in your organization with respect to your peers, and or from these like lizard group or maybe some other hacking threat actors who are there. Because when they hack into an organization, they follow certain patterns, and those patterns are publicly available. So what we do is by calculating the probability that whether Lazarus Group can hack you, we map those TTPs, we call it TTPs, this is a MITRE framework kill chain, to your environment. And whenever, because we have your entire infrastructure visibility. So any control which is failing with respect to the techniques this group is exploiting, that give you a probability of Lazarus Group hacking you in that. And that visibility really helps the CISO to know that in India, if Lazarus Group is hitting manufacturing industry a lot, let me first patch it first, rather than looking at here and there. So you see, you became a precise kind of a sniper. Instead of hitting everyone with AK-47, you know that, okay, this is the sniping and this is the really need. And board also happy about that, because whenever there is a hack, there is a panic in the boardroom. And they want to know, guys, what we are doing on this? And there is always, yes, we are doing this and that. There is no, again, quantified answer to that.
Correct.
So I think that is what the scenario-based visibility, real time, is the industry needs to focus upon, which really help them to be on the related to the current affairs which is going on in terms of cyberspace.
Absolutely. And how does generative AI, which is next big thing?
That's very exciting.
It is, right? So how does Gen AI kind of play in this revolutionary part of cybersecurity that we are? So
I think it's already done, and I think OpenAI has done a great job in terms of revolutionize the. I think after iPhone, if I call it a real invention, is OpenAI really shaken the world, right? Now I think every organization is utilizing the power of AI in their own way, and we were fortunate enough because I told you that we have great investors, great technical advisors who really can see ahead of the time. So we are fortunate enough to get an feedback from them that we have to leverage it, and I'm very happy and excited to reveal that we are coming up with the thing known as, we call it a code name, we call it Safe GPT.
Okay.
Now imagine, and I'm CISOs here will be happy to see that. Imagine a mobile phone application in your hand which can talk to the entire infrastructure of your company. It can be in 20 countries.
Wow.
And you can say, what are the top 5 risks today in my organization which can cause a breach?
Wow.
It will give you the answer for that.
Oh, wow.
You don't need to go to any product dashboard. You don't need to, because we are connected to your entire infrastructure, cloud, cybersecurity tool, threat intel. So this is going to revolutionize. So I think this is one of the first kind in the world. We're going to launch it in January. It will be available to our customers, I think in December last for the beta. And that's how we are leveraging AI, because it really, now imagine the power of this then, because these senior members, they don't have time to log into a dashboard. Now imagine an application and then daily basis. And now it depends on the creativity of that leader, what he want to ask.
Right.
And you don't need to go for the filters and this is going to change everything.
Correct.
And they will be like, and it's a real time, by the way.
Yeah.
Now imagine a CISO who is running the show in 40 countries.
Yeah.
And everything is aggregated in one dashboard, and that is connected to the app. He can ask anything. What is the status of my this business unit?
Yeah.
Is it if it is a banker, for example, what is the status of the security of my retail banking?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the status. Can you tell me that what are in this? Who are the people who are responsible to fix these things? It will tell you also. And then send a mail from Direct Daily, guys, please take care of this. It just make your life simple.
So does the responses that you get, does it come in quantification?
Yes, 100%.
Wow, okay.
Yes. So the only thing is the platform is there. We connected the GPT there, and everything, it just talks like a human. You're talking to the platform in a human format.
Wow.
You don't need to tick here and there.
Yeah.
And we went to an extent we thought, and now that's funny or silly also, but I think this is the level of thought we have. We literally tested this in flight, in an international flight, that if a CISO is sitting there in the flight and he's connected to the internet, is this work? And it works really well.
Oh.
Now the mobile application is there. He can ask anything. What is the status in the flight where you have a minimum connection of internet, whatever right now.
Yeah.
And that's going to change for every leader.
Absolutely. It will, because I think getting that kind of visibility is important. Because visibility is everything, right? I mean, and getting it in numbers.
And real time.
In real time. Wow, what else can you ask for? Wonderful. So, okay, we spoke about, one of the major challenge, because I told you, right, the CISOs that I've been interacting with, they've always said that going back to the boardroom, going to the CFOs, asking for budgets for security tools is one big challenge. So when it comes to, showing the return of investments, you did highlight the ways of how it can be done. So, is it always something that this should be followed as a best practice between CIOs and CISOs? And do you think that this is the best practice that can be leveraged by them?
Absolutely. And I think it's not only us here. I'm not saying that we are the only one who's doing it. Like, let's take an example. We just did one acquisition recently of a company called Risk Lens. Now we are a team working together, and under Risk Lens, there's an organization known as FAIR Institute. Now, FAIR is an institute which comes up with the models of financial impact and it kind of return on security investment also. Now, that's a global standard in cyber risk quantification. Any company today in security, non-security, they can adopt those global standards to convert their risk into a global standard and visibility. That what is the, like, they have two categories known as MAM and CAM.
Okay.
Materiality analytical model, and second is control analytical model. Materiality in analytical model is something which basically converts your risk into a dollar value. And then you can calculate there, okay, what I am paying for this, what I am paying for this. If today the impact will happen, do I really need this tool which I am already paying in the organization?
Right.
It's not only the requirement of the new tools where you will be assigning the budget, but you can remove the tool who is having the least impact on your risk reduction.
Right.
I have a tool which is sitting there from last 2 years, but in reality, it is not adding value in my infrastructure and security. You can also figure out what is that and remove that and utilize that budget in somewhere else. And I think we have n number of companies with respect to our customers and some other companies who are may or maybe not our customer, but we have recommended them to use these models where they have removed their existing tools which are costing them a lot. I'm talking about a US based company who are having a very heavy budgets to insecurity, and they utilize the budget where they know that this will add a great impact in terms of reduction of the risk. So when this adoption is required, and I think anyone who's watching, just type FAIR analytical models, you will be able to MAM and CAM. They are open source, by the way. You can use it, tell your team to do that. And I think that's a very nice way of doing the thing, and it will really change the way you communicate to the board. It will add your confidence also, because there will be the fullest transparent way of showing the risk to a board member in terms of what we are spending, what is not. And sometimes it looks like a report card of a CISO also. But you should not look at it in that way, because this will help them to understand, and then you can have the right ask from them that where it is required, where you need their help.
Absolutely. Perfect. All right. So, Rahul, in the US, they have SEC, and in India, we have CERT guidelines, right? So, and now with the whole DPDP Act coming in place, how do you think the CISOs and the CIO should be prepared, with the whole guidelines and the DPDP Act that's come out?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, because in our community, we say security is a very thankless job. For every CISO who is putting their CIO and CISO both or their team who are putting their sweat and blood into daily basis, this is the only work which will increase by the time it cannot be reduced, because daily things are coming up. So usually the community and the senior members don't look at the hard work, consistent hard work these teams are doing, especially the CISO and CIO or their team. But whenever there is a hack, then you're accountable for that.
Right.
Now, and especially after these acts, if you see, especially in the SEC Guidelines Act, if you see, there are certain companies who got breached, and then the CISO was almost behind the bars. That level of scrutiny going on there. So if a breach can make a person get into a jail, now imagine the trauma the security professional will be having in their end. And I'm not saying that DPD Act Data Privacy Act will do the same, but I think it's a tough law to deal with, because whenever there is a breach, there is a minimum 250 crore rupees of penalty or a little bit around that. Now, for a CISO and CIO, I think the only thing they need to know, hack will happen, no matter whatever you do.
True.
There's no 100% guarantee, right? But you should know that what a hack can do an impact on me. It is $5 million, it is $50 million, it is $500 million. How you do that? You need to calculate your financial impact questionnaires. For example, like we have a thing known as financial impact questionnaires, where we ask the CFO and the legal team 150 cost parameters. Cost parameters means if a hack will happen today, how much the legal fees per hour you will be paying on a lower bound or a upper bound ratio. It can be minimum $10, it can be maximum $50. There will be some default value based on the industry standards, But with respect to you, your legal team will say, oh, in India, the cost is $5 and maximum is $20 per hour, for example. We have seen in most of the companies, they never calculate those figures. So there are 150 courses, and that's where fair ma'am comes to the picture, right? I told you, it's a global standard. You pick up the question, you answer the question. There you will be first time able to see that if today a hack will happen, my risk is sitting on this $1 million level. Now you make your plan based on that. You defend your case in front of SEC or defend your case in front of CERT or DPDAC that guys, in my capacity, I did these things which actually was in my control to ensure that this, we already predicted that this is the amount we'll be hitting. This is the data can be exfiltrated. This is the action can be on, but we have taken these measures. And with respect to the daily visibility, we were monitoring this. We were not monitoring quarterly or monthly or something so and that.
Right.
That really will help you to reduce that penalty if you come into the penalty, because from an efforts point of view, in the scrutiny, when they will look at what you have done, you did your best in your capacity.
Correct.
And you're not God, you want to take care of everything, right?
Correct.
But how you will justify your case in terms of the member, that I think will be the key tomorrow whenever there will be a breach. And how fast you respond in terms of taking care of the things, and that can only happen when you are proactively able to visualize that impact. And that should not happen through words. That should happen through some mathematical modeling or something which is scientific proven in nature, rather than I'm just assuming what will happen. So I think that is the right way of looking at the thing.
Absolutely. I think very well highlighted, because this is something that we foresee. And I think every CISO today is worried and is trying to understand how do they start planning around it. Perfect. What final actionable tips that you would like to share for our CISOs?
I think for the CISO and CIOs, CISOs both, CI and CIOs both, I must say, and as I mentioned already, start adopting MITRE framework. Now, those who do not know what is MITRE, so MITRE is basically a kill chain. They have defined that there are total 14 or 19 number of techniques which are there, tactics which are there. These are the methods a hacker will hack with these techniques. So there are tactics, the goals, and the techniques to reach that goal. For example, data exfiltration. That's a goal. Now, to reach that data exfiltration, the criminal can do this. Whenever you're getting a VAPT report or maybe any visibility of the risk, if you can convert that into a MITRE framework visibility, it will really help you to look at the risk into a very different manner. This is what we have seen in US and India. That's a little bit different because they look at the risk into a MITRE framework kill chain. In India, we are like more compliance driven. So I think one tip I must say in my limited understanding, that start visualizing the risk from a MITRE framework, because criminal, when they hack you, they don't look at your compliances, right? And give me one company who got hacked who are not compliant. Then I'm not saying by any means compliances are not good. They are the base of every security infrastructure. But at the end of the day, you need to know what is the reality of the world. And second, I think whatever you are adopting in terms of cybersecurity product or any policy, how much real time you can make it. That's again. And the third is the visibility you are getting. What is the confidence of that visibility? And what do you mean by confidence? There are 50,000 assets in my company. And usually the assessment happens for the sample sets. Now, when sample set, you take 1,000 assets and you say, this is what is your visibility. That's not a right visibility, right? Confidence is very low in that. How you measure the risk which is being shown to you? What is the confidence of that? What is the coverage of that? Is it taking 1,000 assets, 2,000 assets? And if you are getting that visibility, do you trust that visibility? Is it backed by a global standard?
Right.
That's the thing. And the third and the last is that be transparent with your board. I know India is a little bit tough to be transparent. They know their ways to do that, because no matter how hard work you do, and again, as I told you, I have full sympathy with all the CISO and CIO community, because they really do work hard, because we are keep on working with them. Even in the COVID and everything, you see IT professionals and the security professionals on the peak, because this was the golden age for criminals.
Correct.
They are attacking everywhere. And the CISOs and CIOs are working day and night in that way. So with respect to my customer, what I have seen is just show the real-time visibility, show them that this is the impact we will have if we will not have the right tools. And if we have the right tool, this is the return on the security investment. And again, it's not saying we are doing it. As I told you, there are open standards who do that. You can do it by yourself also. But that really change your life and the conversation with the board. And in future, if there is some bad things happen, you will be able to defend it in a very, very scientific manner rather than in a request or conversational manner. So I think these are the things which most of the things you should do to be ahead.
Great. Excellent. I think it was a great conversation, Rahul, and some very good pointers and insights that I'm sure our viewers will get out of this interview. Thank you so much for giving us an introduction of safeguarding, what is the way forward. You guys are doing some incredible job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I look forward to having many more conversations with you in the future.
Pleasure to have you. Thank you, everyone.